Reliant Bank is a family-owned, FDIC-insured bank located in the east central part of South Dakota. Reliant Bank is proud of its legacy of strong, responsive banking that has been their mission ever since they opened in 1920. They pride themselves on being able to offer big bank products with hometown service. In March, my team and I had the privilege to travel to Watertown, South Dakota, and discuss how they utilize technology within their operations.
Telebanking is one of the first technologies that we got into to spread the word, to get information to customers. And basically, it was they dialed a phone number, entered their account number, and it gave them their balance and what checks were in today. Now that technology is extremely old, but it's still being used. These are monthly totals, so there's still almost 1,500 people that call that every month. That one peaked at about 3,500. And internet banking, I mean, basically we've got about 4,600 people that use internet banking, and that's actually, they have a login and can go on to our internet site to use that. Right below that, like when it says 31 to 29,000, that's how many times they log in. So if you divide that 4,600, you notice most people log in many times a month. Below that is one of our newer technologies. It's called mobility, but it's basically an app on the phone that allows people to get that information. We can run reports to find out what day they log on, what time they log on. That's kind of the driving trend.
Is that just starting to be used more here, or?
It is starting to be used more. The mobile app allows people to basically, their phone dings every time their card gets used, or an account balance gets hit. Those type of things. Since a lot of consumers walk around with a smartphone anymore versus a desktop computer, it really is the direction that the industry's moving and that we're moving. We have mobile deposit capture, which is basically you can take a picture of your check and deposit it into your account. That started about 18 months ago. When we look at statistics, our Monday has the highest usage on the internet, and then Saturday, Sunday have the lowest, and the rest of the week, Tuesday through Friday, are pretty much the same. But what it tells us is people are using their computer at work. They're not using their computer at home.
What we're trying to do with these products is just trying to keep up with the big banks, right? The ones you see advertised, and try to get it so our customers stay with us and they don't have to be in our communities, and it also helps with our customers in our communities. But if we get this right and people know that we have this, why wouldn't you want to have all the options of a big bank, but then be able to stop in and see us if there's a problem?
And I'm caught in the middle. I still like paper. And this is about, 3 months ago, we had a new young loan officer, and all of a sudden our boss says, "Quit looking at your phone during a meeting." And he goes, "But I'm looking at what we're talking about." Because he's looking on his phone, and I've got a pile of paper this thick. So it's an adaptation process. I come into a lot of meetings now with an iPad and about half of the papers that I used to have, and I try to look up the rest on the iPad as I go along. The thing that hasn't changed in banking, even though it's a lot more technical, a lot more digital, is still relationship based, especially in community banks. It's based off of relationships. I would say a lot of times it's by what we can provide them, thinking strategically long term. We live in the Midwest, so to be real honest, we're the last adapters or late adapters a lot of times. So we don't have to be cutting edge or bleeding edge. we call in the technology world. We have to be pretty close to cutting edge, but we've got a little time for some technologies to sort out and to see what's happening in the marketplace. A lot of times we're not being driven so much, I don't know that we're being driven by customers in that standpoint. I think a lot of times we're driven by people within our organization. When we see the coolest thing that Chase is doing nationally, or like when you can take yourself, Wells was advertising when you take your cell phone and do this to the ATM and it knows who you are. We're asking those questions. How can we bring that technology to our customers? Because we're looking at it simpler, maybe safer, and better.
But we thought that based on how checks, what has happened with checks and the decrease in amount of checks, that we thought debit cards were going to be around long enough that our initial investment in this instant issue debit card was small enough that it made sense. Even if we only used it for 3 to 5 years is what we're kind of looking at. And
we did the analysis of, okay, we need this to be paid for in that 3 to 5 year range, because we're not sure how long before everybody adapts that technology. I think what it's allowed to have happen is for us to keep those people as customers as they've gone off to school somewhere else. That's one thing that's happened. I mean, we've got customers all over the United States that it has just gone nothing but uphill since. I mean, I have more power in his phone than I had in the first 20 computers that we owned. We're no longer a financial institution. We are technology reseller, because so much of what we do anymore is based off of technology that we're trying to drive down to a consumer level. Long-term goals, and we do a strategic plan every year that we look out 3 to 5 years. Long-term goals for this institution is to continue to grow, to bring it, and the ownership's hope is that they will bring in the third generation into the bank eventually. Long-term goals are to continue to add value and to be an effective player in the marketplace. From a short-term goal, it's the short-term goal over the last 2 years is to get an operation up and running in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, along with bringing in a mortgage department that would support growth and diversity in that marketplace. From a technology standpoint, I think we're always looking to be on the cutting edge, not the bleeding edge. We don't want to be out there, but we're always looking for what can help us maintain a competitive advantage in our marketplace and bring value to our customers. It's how to make the customer experience frictionless, to make it as easy as possible on the customer to do business with you. But yet still, that doesn't mean it's easy on our side. We still have to do security and due diligence and verify who you are, but we want to make it look, and part of the goal with the account that we're being able to open accounts online was to take away a lot of friction, because